Hi there, this is Amanda Frankel with Our Crafty Playdate, and today I am going to show you this new Hostess set from the new catalog called Pun Intended, and it's got some witty little comments. I love you a watt that matches the light bulb, or snappy birthday for the camera, or be mine with two E's here for this, or happy bee day for the bee here. We're going to use the light bulb. And we are going to use the You Light Up My Life sentiment. And it's going to look, the finished card is going to look like this. This card is super cute and it's very simple. And then you add the Wink of Stella. Can you see that shimmer there? And that makes all the difference. So I'm going to teach you how to do this and make them straight, and also show you a little bit about Wink of Stella. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to set this up here in the corner. And then I am going to bring in the grid paper. And I think we've talked about this a little bit before. This is a Stampin' Up! Grid paper, and you probably, if you're a class attendee, you've probably seen this before. I use it at every single class, but I know a lot of people do. And even if you're not a class attendee, it comes in a pad of 100 sheets, which will last you forever. Mine I use till they're completely disreputable, but they're so great because when you stamp, ink doesn't bleed through to the back, so it protects your work surface, but it also gives you an opportunity to count and center things really well. So I'm going to show you how to do that. What I did is I've got this piece of paper here, and it is 4 7/8 by 3 1/4, which I know sounds like a very weird measurement, but I wanted it to be close on both sides. I just thought it looked kind of cool and a little different. So anyway, what I did was I centered it here on my grid paper. And the reason that I know that it's centered is because I actually just counted squares over from the middle line. And once I had that done, I just made little corners with a pencil like this. And then if I want to make 5 of these, because I have lots of people who light up my life apparently, then I can just take it away and put the next one back right between those corners and know that it's already going to be centered. So that is my first trick for you, and I would definitely do that if I were you. Okay, so that is my paper centered, and now I'm going to be using Memento Tuxedo Black ink because it just works so well, and it's great with our markers. And we are going to use a marker in this, so don't panic because it's not a ton of coloring, although coloring is very good for you. All right, I am going to, this is my Memento Black again, and this is my light bulb, and I've put it on my clear block, and I've made sure that it's pretty straight. So when you go to put it on, if it's not perfectly straight, just scooch it over with your finger. Okay, so it's pretty straight, good. And now when I go to place it, I'm going to use that center line there, and I'm going to stamp using that center line as my guide. Let's see how I did. Okay, good. Well, I did well considering I didn't use a mat. If you're finding that you're not getting a really super solid image, like these big solid areas, if they're not really filling in all the way, I have a trick to fix that after the fact, if it happens after the fact. But before the fact, what you can do is stick one of these mats under here. These are the Stamp and Pierce mats, I believe they're called. And if you're using photopolymer stamps, that is the way to go, because as you can see, there's no padding between the ink, or between the stamp surface and your block. Whereas this is a clear mount stamp and it's got that padding. So it gives you a little bit of give, and so you can get a better solid image. Okay, so I've moved this. So I'm going to put it right back in my little marks here. And I'm going to ink up my stamp again. And then I'm going to count over. So let's count over. Here, we'll ink it first, and we'll do this part first. So let's see. Okay, so let's say I count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's about right. I'm going to count over 5 squares here and go just below the surface. And I have a pretty good image there. And I'm going to ink it again. And then, let me see. Hold on one second, guys. I got a little fuzzy on there. Okay, I'm going to ink it again, and then I'm going to count over 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this one is the one right below. And I'm going to press and lift and bring up everything. Pretty good. Okay, so you can see right here, I'm going to bring it way up to you. You can see right here that I have a little gap that didn't get color. If that happens, that annoys me a lot. And so what I'll do is just bring in my markers. And I want to show you, I always have my markers handy when I'm stamping. It does have a picture of which end of the marker it is here. But if you don't have your glasses on, you shouldn't be coloring. No, just kidding. If you don't have your glasses on, you can grab your marker and know that this is the chubby brush end and this is the skinny writing end just by the width of the stripes on the sides. Okay, so I am going to just come over here, and I always use my brush end. I don't even know why I have a pointy end on these, because if I'm not gonna, I never write messages in color marker inside my cards. I probably should, but I almost never do. Okay, so I'm just going to give that a little bit of extra color there where we had a little trouble. Nobody's going to know. Nobody cares. All right, now I am going to be sure that if you do that, that you put your lid right back on your Memento ink, because for some reason it has a tendency to dry really quickly, I find, and I end up re-inking it quite a bit. Okay, so now we're going to do some coloring. I'm going to pull that mat back out of there and have a seat. All right, so now we're going to do a little bit of coloring again. I'm using the brush end here and not the skinny end, and I don't have to be super precise except to keep it in the outer line. Although you could have some light escaping from your light bulb. That completely would make sense. All right, so quick color in here. Everybody is worried about their coloring. Please don't worry about your coloring. Your coloring is for fun. As you know, it's all the rage now, adult coloring books. You don't have to do adult coloring books. You have stamps. Just stamp a bunch of images and color them in. It's good for you. Okay, so that's good. We're good. All right, so now that I've got that on there, I'm going to let that dry for a second because I want it to be completely dry before I use my Wink of Stella pen. So while we're waiting, I'll go ahead and stamp the You Light Up My Life. When you trim an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper into 4 panels, for example, a normal size panel would be this black one. When you trim a whole one into 4 different panels, if you trim it all at once, you're ending up cutting off a 1/2 inch from each side of the paper. And those 1/2 inch sides I keep. I have a bunch of these, and I just hold on to them because if I were to stamp You Light Up My Life right here, right on this card, like I did here, I don't know if you can get an eyeball in there, but like I did there, if you stamp it like that, and you make a mistake, like I did, then all you have to do is stamp it again on one of these little strips and pop it up on some dimensionals. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp it right here. Meh. All right, one more time. Yes, way better. Okay, so I have stamped that, and now I'm going to punch it. And this new punch, I have no idea what it's called. It replaced pretty much our word window, I would say. And it's pointy on both ends instead of round, but it's about the same width, so it works super well with these strips. And I don't want it to be as huge as this is. You can see this is kind of a big, arrowy thing. I don't want it to be quite that big, so I'm going to get close to my U here and leave a lot of space on the end. And you're saying, don't do it, don't do it. You're not lining it up. I am. Okay. What you can do to make this actually smaller is, just slide it right back in here, right back in your punch, and make it any size you want. I could have a really little arrowy thing, but I don't want to do that. I just want it to be like that. And it will pop out a little chevron, which tell me later this is not going to be the cutest little piece. You could do little arrows on a card with these. Okay, so now I've got this smaller, and I'm going to pop that up on some dimensional pieces, because that's just the way we use dimensionals around here when you're doing something skinny. If you do a big dimensional, a whole one, it is going to be showing out of the side or the back. Okay, so now let's do our Wink of Stella. Wink of Stella looks like this, and it is in our current catalog, and it's a good idea to shake it. It says push. You don't have to push if you've used it in the last year or so. It's going to still be working. All right, push just means force the ink down, but you can see it looks like it's silvery. We do have it in this color, which is actually clear. And then we also have it in a gold tone called gold. Imagine that. All right, so with this, I am just going to lightly color. You do not want to saturate your paper with this. You just want to brush it on really super gently. Just make sure you cover everything, but you don't want to soak it. I have a couple of people who just like to soak everything when they color it. When you do, remember, this is a liquid. So it's a liquid. So if you saturate your paper with it, it's going to give you a little bit of a warp in your paper. So try not to do that. But look at the difference that made. It gives you a little shimmer under the light bulb. So it's definitely on. That light is definitely on. Okay, and now we're going to take our little arrowy sentiment and put it on some dimensionals. And like I said, I'm using just the edges. Use your dimensionals all the way to the edges, folks. They are awesome. This width is awesome, but you know what you could use? You could use the new strips too that are in the new catalog that make great shaker cards. Look at how stinking cute that is. Unbelievable. Okay, so I'm just gonna put that on there, except it would help if I took off the paper off the back. Okay. Yeah, you've never seen me do that before, right? Okay, so then it's on there. And now I am going to glue this with my liquid Tombow right on top of my black piece. Now notice that when I'm going to be putting glue on something, I am always putting it always on the smallest piece, because that way I don't end up putting it too far around the edges and then having to go back with my little glue eraser, which if you don't have one of those, they are so inexpensive and it will make you ongoingly happy. I'll tell you, I got a little fuzzy. I've got fuzzies today. Okay. Good, so that's glued on. And now I am going to use a daffodil piece of paper. I should have probably told you the colors. This is Daffodil Delight, and that is the same color that I used for the marker. And it is a good, solid, bright yellow. There you go, I've made my fold. So perfect. Turn it this way, make sure that it opens on the bottom, because I've actually glued things on upside down before. It's happened. All right, and then I am going to pop it up with some dimensionals on the back of here, just to give it a little more lift. It doesn't need it really a ton, but that's the best thing about our dimensionals. Again, I'm using some edges because I just happen to have them laying here from doing the other thing. And you want to make sure that you do all four corners, but not super close to the corner, you'll see, and one in the middle. And the one in the middle, we all know, it's because you don't want a saggy middle. Nobody wants a saggy middle or a saggy bottom. So be sure that you put one in there too. And if you're having a hard time getting these papers off, just poke them. If you push down on them, the edges come right up. It's like makes the edges pop up. Okay. Unless you tear them, and then there we go. Okay, so now I've got this, and I'm just gonna kind of eyeball center it. And there we go. I've got another You Light Up My Life card. That's all I've got for you for today. So remember, if you would like any of these items, be sure to visit my website, www.ourcraftyplaydate.stampinup.com. That's my shopping one. Or if you just like to be inspired, just www.ourcraftyplaydate.com, and you can see everything, all the projects there. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button now and make sure that you subscribe to my videos so that you don't miss any of them. I would hate to miss you on the next one. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.